Is it something or nothing that the Titans have lost to 7 of the 8 remaining teams? The Jags twice, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Giants, and Eagles, and Cowboys. That 8 of the 10 losses and 7 of the 8 teams remaining are losses to divisional round teams. Is it something or nothing? You're laughing. What's the chat making you say?
Well, I'm laughing because the realization of Kirk and how not to is something that I said long before Mariota moved on. Is that guy sucked? He wasn't very good. He had his moments, but not enough moments to compile a starting job consistently in the NFL. I think that was realized again this year in Atlanta. Anthony says that it's something. Jason also says that it's something. Bama Brad says nothing. Something from Steven. Mike says something. Jermel says something. Nate says something. Pistol says nothing. Look at the dang roster. What could they do? Major something from Brad, though, but nothing coming in from Alex. Weren't built to win this year. A couple of somethings coming in from Jared and Connor and Ian, as well as MB. But Robert says nothing. Knew they were bad this year. The offense couldn't do anything, and the defense was injured. Every other year, the Titans have had a good record against conference leaders. And Robert brings that point up, and that is true. They played well against those division winners, whether it's beating Kansas City, whether it's beating Buffalo. They performed well at times against some of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
New England back in the day. Remember that home game with David Fluellen back in the Dave Fluellen. Hadn't heard that name
when Derrick Henry's career flashed before his eyes, and so did David Fluellen's when his hurt his knee, and then he never really played again.
So, Austin, what do you think? Is this something or nothing that the Titans' losses have come to a lot of playoff teams?
Oh, it's absolutely something. I mean, how could it not be something?
Well, I'll tell you here in a second.
Well, I'm not. Look, again, I am not making excuses for the Titans losing 10 games this season. But when you win your division, you play a harder schedule. When you win your division and you play a harder schedule and you continue to be the most injured football team in football history, you're going to lose to good teams. So it's something to me. Right now, the Jags got a lot better. Those are 2 of the losses there. The Cowboys are a good football team, and the Eagles were a transformed team from last year. And so, and you played the NFC East that was miles. The NFC East has 3 divisional teams remaining, and before last year had been the worst division in football. And so you got them on their uptick. So again, like when you're banged up, and somebody mentioned there's 23 guys on injured reserve, and we all know the millions and millions of dollars that are on IR for the Titans, and we're on IR for most of the season for the Titans. When you play a tough schedule and you have your best players unavailable due to injury, you're going to lose more games than you win. And the Titans were 7-10. They lost more games than they won. And clearly they were bad 0-9 against playoff teams once you include the Chargers in there. So, yeah, it makes complete sense to me. It's absolutely something.
I think it's nothing because I think that they were a bad football team at the end, and they lost to bad football. They lost to the Jags. They had that game in hand. The Jags had not caught their momentum yet at home in Nashville. The Texans were a bad football team. They lost to multiple bad football teams. They just could not put it together. So regardless of the competition, and look, the 2 close, you talk about the Commanders and the Raiders, in which you argued earlier in the year that they shouldn't have won those games, at least the Raiders, not necessarily the Commanders.
No, both of them.
It doesn't matter. They were a bad team. They were losing to good and bad teams late in the year.
Yeah, but again, you could also say that if Randy Bullock makes an insanely makeable kick, then they beat the Giants in week 1, who are playing on the weekend for the divisional round, right? Like, so yes, the Raiders, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Commanders game all came down to the very last type of play where Randy Bullock missed a kick against the Giants, and then you had interceptions and turnovers forced by the Titans defense against the Raiders and the Commanders. So, yeah, I mean, of course, that's the NFL for you.
That's why it's nothing.